Laetitia Maurat from Global Thought presents the use of open source intelligence at the International Criminal Court.
Anyone here who uses social media platforms has probably come across footage from the current conflict raging in Ukraine. Social media platforms are being flooded with photos and videos depicting destroyed cities, flagrant human rights violations, and atrocious war crimes. When faced with this content, we often feel injustice, indignation, and an overwhelming feeling of helplessness. Social media is seen as a source of information, but not as a tool that can bring about change. But what if I told you that this content had the potential to bring those responsible for these crimes to justice? Social media content, also known as open source intelligence, is being used by NGOs to build their investigations and document human rights violations. In my research, I argue that this practice should be much more widespread, and crucially, that open source intelligence should be used by the International Criminal Court as evidence. This could bring about a much more democratic and transparent legal process, modernize the court, and increase its legitimacy. Yet, despite these benefits, the court is reluctant to adapt to this new type of evidence. Through my research and my own experience as an open source investigator, I have attempted to understand the root of this reluctance. I have studied academic debates, judgments, and spoken to practitioners. What I have found is that open source intelligence is unsettling the interpretive authority of the court. It is shifting power dynamics and removing some of the control that the court has over the evidence process. This is creating new actors such as technologists, human rights professionals, and increasingly civilians like you and I, and involving them in the evidence process like never before. This creates a tension between old methods and new methods. However, I argue that there are two ways the court can address this. Firstly, it should implement training for lawyers and judges to increase their understanding and competency in the use of digital evidence. Secondly, and most importantly, the court needs to change its attitude towards the shifts that are occurring. It should not see it as a relinquishment of power, but as an opportunity to become a pioneer in the field of open source investigations. The court has an opportunity to adapt and increase justice and accountability for crimes against humanity. Thank you.